When we dream of the past, we dream in color. We see the gold of Versailles, the red velvet of the throne room, and the white powder of the wigs. We imagine the court of the Sun King, Louis XIV, as the absolute peak of sophistication and elegance. But historical paintings are missing one crucial dimension. They cannot convey the smell. If a time machine transported you to the Hall of Mirrors in 1680, you wouldn't be struck by the beauty. You would be struck by the stench. Behind the glitter of gold hid a reality that today we would call a biohazard. Versailles was built on a swamp. It was damp, it was crowded, and it had a terrible secret. The palace was home to 10,000 people. Princes, dukes, servants, guards, and visitors. And for these 10,000 people, the palace had virtually no plumbing. Versailles was not a fairy tale. It was the most expensive golden cesspool in the history of Europe. Imagine you are a duke visiting the king. You are wearing 5 layers of silk and lace. Nature calls. Where do you go? There were no private bathrooms for the guests. In the endless corridors of Versailles, privacy was a myth. So the aristocracy did the only thing they could. They relieved themselves right where they stood. In the corners of hallways, on the grand staircases, and behind the heavy curtains of the waiting rooms. Servants complained that it was impossible to cross the courtyards without stepping in something unpleasant. But for the king, things were different. He had the chaise percée, the chair with a hole. Using the bathroom wasn't a private act for the king. It was a public performance. The highest honor a nobleman could receive was the title of Groom of the Stool. His job was to assist the king in his most private moments. People fought for this job. It meant you were close to power. While the king sat on velvet, the rest of the court turned the gardens into an open sewer. But the smell didn't just come from the lack of toilets. It came from the bodies themselves. In the 17th century, people were terrified of hot water. Doctors believed that hot water opened the pores of the skin. And through these open pores, the bad air, the miasma, could enter. To them, a warm bath was not relaxing. It was a death sentence. It was an invitation to the plague. King Louis XIV, the most powerful man on earth, is said to have bathed completely only twice in his life. Instead of washing, they used dry cleaning. They rubbed their faces with alcohol or dry white cloths. The belief was that linen clothing acted like a sponge. It would absorb the dirt from the body. If you were rich, you didn't wash your body. You just changed your shirt 5 times a day. Imagine the layers of sweat, dead skin, and bacteria building up under those heavy silk robes over weeks and months. To hide this, they used heavy powder. But the powder just created a paste with the sweat. This is where perfume enters the story, but not the light floral sprays we use today. They needed heavy artillery, musk, civet, ambergris, strong animalistic scents to overpower the smell of decay. The king demanded a different scent for every day of the week. The air in Versailles was so thick with perfume, guests often fainted. And then there were the wigs, those magnificent, tall white wigs. They were a status symbol, but they were also a nest. Beneath the wigs, many nobles shaved their heads because of lice, but the lice lived in the wigs instead. At dinner tables, small specialized tools were used to scratch the itch under the wig without taking it off. History is often polished until it shines. We look at the architecture and the art, and we feel envious. We wish we could live in that era of romance and royalty. But the next time you turn on your tap to wash your hands with warm water and soap, remember that you are enjoying a luxury that even the Sun King, with all his gold, could never buy.